Back when the Switch was announced in 2016, everyone was thinking the same thing: what will this mean for Pokémon games? Since the Switch was being marketed as a handheld and an at-home console, this is where the Pokémon series would be moving forward. In May of 2018, everyone's questions were answered with Pokémon Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. The trailer showed a collaboration between it and Pokémon Go while also bringing back the Gen 1 games for another remake. This would be the first time we would ever see Kanto in the 3D format. Everyone was super excited to see the original games be the first games coming to the Switch. They were also showing off a new catching mechanic that caught everyone's eye. It gave off the simulation that you were actually throwing the Pokeball yourself. With how great and innovating these games sound, why don't we hear about them anymore? That's unfortunately because after these games came out, everyone thought that they were bad. But in this video, I'm going to go over why I think that everyone was wrong and these games are actually great. I'm going to be stating my reasons in a pro and con format, and at the end of the video you can leave a comment telling me if you agree with me or not. With that being said, enjoy the rest of the video. This section's basically going to be going over a bunch of things I said before, but in more detail. Firstly, these are the first games on Switch, while also being the first main series Pokemon games to be on a home console. The other two we had were Pokemon Colosseum and Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness, but they're not main series games. I have a video about them if you're interested. Next, these games are a full-on collaboration between it and Pokemon Go. We have never seen a Pokemon collaboration like this before. We even see an exclusive mythical Pokemon that you can catch in Pokemon Go and then trade it to the Nintendo Switch between the games. This is after the peak of Pokemon Go's player base, so everyone was interested to see how this collaboration would go. I think it turned out really well and you can still use these features today. They even reused these features in Scarlet and Violet to get Gimmighoul in Pokemon Go. These games also had new catching mechanics that were based off of Pokemon Go's, where you throw the ball yourself by swinging your arm and the motion controls in the Joy-Con would throw the ball. Based on your throws, you can get a nice, great, or excellent that will boost your catch rate based on which one you get. They also added a new mechanic where Pokemon can run away if you don't catch it in a certain amount of time. There's new raspberries, pineapple berries, and other things that boost your catch rate. Lastly, there was a new multiplayer mechanic where you could use two Joy-Cons to play with you and someone else locally. Now, we're going to go into the list of pros of this game, which there are a lot. The first of the pros we're going to talk about is one of my favorites, being that there is a massive list of costumes that you can put on your Pikachu or Eevee to dress them up. This makes your Pokemon really personal, which helps with it being your partner Pokemon. Your Pokemon also follow behind you, which really puts them in the real world with you. You can ride your Pokemon too, which comes in many different forms, like riding in a Machamp's arms, riding on a Gyarados in the water, Starmie, Lapras, other things. You can also ride on stuff like Rapidash and Arcanine on the mainland. Your partner Pokemon also removed the need for HMs in this game. These two games have no shiny locks, which is unheard of nowadays. If you even wanted to say the partner Eevee or Pikachu, these can be shiny hunted in the demo version of the games. These are the last Pokemon games that have Mega Evolution other than Pokemon Go. This is a really big deal because this is one of people's favorite Pokemon features that have ever come out in the games. These games also have the Alolan forms you can get from trading. The biggest new feature in these games is the Go Park. You can transfer Pokemon from Pokemon Go into this game. This feature works really well. You just have to connect your phone and your Switch and then boom, you can send your Pokemon. Then you can go into the Go Park and catch them yourself. Unfortunately, this is less useful now with Pokemon Home, but before that, this was the only way to get your Pokemon from Pokemon Go into your Switch. Lastly, I think the graphics and the new 3D look really helped out with Kanto and made everything look super beautiful and realistic. Now we can go into the cons, which are few and far between. The first of the cons, which some people might even not think are cons, are no held items and no abilities while battling. This is similar to the Legends Arceus features, but I just like the more complex battle style that they had in the original games. But at the end of the day, to each your own, so if you think this isn't a con, this will just be an honorable mention. Next, the difficulty isn't that hard, but this can be seen as either as well. Most Pokemon veterans do want a harder difficulty game though. We also don't have wild battling in these games, which limits battling to only trainers. Turn-based battling is the core feature of Pokemon, so I guess it makes it a little weird to play these. You're also forced to use wild encounters with catching to get XP. The last and my least favorite part about these games is there's no Pro Controller used for these games. There's no reason for this because the Pro Controller has motion controls and we can see that in games like Super Mario 3D Land. I know this is a massive nitpick, but this is definitely the thing that turns me away from these games the most. Now that everything's covered, we can go into the overview. Overall, I think these are amazing games, and now would be the time to replay them with a little bit of downtime before Legends EA. Leave a comment down below with your thoughts on Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, leave a like if you enjoyed, and subscribe for more Pokemon videos in the future.